My mission, should I choose to accept it, was to come up with the best 5 pieces of classical music a total newbie might enjoy. Easy mission, I assumed, little realising the problems that easy would cause. I sat down, and before you could say
Rimsky-Korsakov,
I was looking at 12 separate pieces. Too many choices for a top 5. I needed some help. So I started asking my musical friends, what 5 pieces of classical music would you play for a total classical newbie? With more answers, I could make a chart of the most popular choices. Ranking video done. What could go wrong? I'll tell you what, after asking 6 friends for their top 5 tracks, I ended up with 30 separate pieces of music. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a strength of classical music, not a weakness. The range of music is staggering, but I really needed a way I could sort this information. I needed even more data, I needed more choices. So I widened my search. I started asking acquaintances, people I sung with at choral society, and I kept asking until, after more than 100 responses, I could finally compile a top 10 list. Well, a top 11 actually. So, what follows is no longer my top 5 sample tracks for a classical newbie. You'll get that next video. What follows is a chart ranking the 10 and 11 most popular choices of all the people I asked. I have to say there were some really famous omissions to this chart, including, I think, the most famous newbie classical track ever. I'll tell you all about that at the end. But now, without any more faff, here is that top 10. Sorry, 11. There's quite a few equal positions in this chart, so, just to make things more interesting, I'm personally ranking those ties, which means, since this is the only piece in this whole list that I'm not so sure about, it's coming, I'm afraid, in last place. Surely there's so much more choice for hitting newbies with sweet and simple sounding Mozart. Now I think of it, this is another famous newbie track that nobody voted for. More on that later. But bringing me for now to my 10th position. A lovely track. It's a little bit down for me, but one of the problems with this whole game is you've no idea who these newbies are. I'm sure there's people out there for whom this piece would be excellent. Next up comes... You may have realised there's a slight UK bias to these last couple of choices. Well, this is undoubtedly a lovely and uncomplicated piece. I just question if it's a little on the long side for an amateur's ears. It is the longest piece on this list. Bringing us next to... Yes, it's again equal 11th, but as you can see, I'm ranking these equal positions, which means these pieces, in my own humble opinion, are each getting better. And Fingal's Cave, or the Hebrides, or the Hebridean Overture, or whatever you want to call it, has a great easy melody for the ear to latch onto, plus some lovely texture from the strings, a good solid choice for introducing a newbie to. But I think improved next by... I do like this choice. I remember it being one of the first bits of a symphony my own ears latched onto. There's a great narrative drive to this piece, a build, although the middle section might cause a few casual ears to drift. I also remember hearing this at the end of the film Zardoz and absolutely loving it, so good choice. But next, I think an even better choice. This, I think, the more I listen to it, is an excellent choice. It really shows off the orchestra, and its scoring is very, very pictorial, highly visual music, which no wonder is why Disney used it in Fantasia. Next comes... This, I think, is a really excellent choice. It's the kind of strange but familiar music that could really thrill a newcomer's ears. This may well have been in my own personal top 5 if it hadn't been for the next track. Another great piece of music to surprise your listeners' ears with and possibly thrill them. It instantly takes you with its rhythmic intensity, and yet it really showcases the sonic range of the orchestra. However, I do think this and the Holst operate in rather similar territory, and I wouldn't have them both on a single list myself. Okay, that's it with the 11th place tie breaks. The next 2 tracks have 3 votes each, and I have to say, it's an achievement even getting 2 votes when there's such a huge array of choices available. So, congratulations, at equal third, with 3 votes, I wonder what the wind will blow us. This one was a little bit of a surprise for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one of the most beautiful trios in all of opera, in all music, and it's uncomplicated for the unaccustomed ear. Plus, it's the second Mozart to make the list, so kudos to him. But I'd still ask, is it the best Mozart aria you could choose? I mean, nobody picked Andy Dufresne's choice from Figaro. And my own top 5 list, which is coming as a separate video, includes another Mozart opera choice. Any guesses which? But meanwhile, we have at equal third another track from opera that also has something to do with the wind, but which lies at the opposite end of the soundscape. Can you guess what that track is? Can you? This, I think, is a really excellent choice when you want to hit people with a possibly familiar, but the also very, very striking. And the sounds Wagner creates are really unique to the orchestra setup, so it's a good showpiece for what classical music can do. Which leaves, in first place, drumroll please! Now, I have to confess a wee bit of statistical fine-tuning here, as Winter got actually 2 votes, Spring 1 vote, and the whole piece a 4th vote. But look, that's good enough for me, and I think this is a pretty good winner. Winter was certainly one of my first fave bits of classical music when I first got into classical music in my late teens. It's forceful and striking, and yet harmonically straightforward, perfect for a newbie's ears. A worthy winner. A few tracks that didn't make the list that you'd maybe expect to. Hall of the Mountain King? Anyone? Anyone? Likewise, Mozart Piano Concerto as mentioned earlier. But perhaps even more surprising, Pachelbel's Canon in D also got 0 votes, which, I don't know, is that a surprise? I know people detest this piece, but that's because it's very simple and very overplayed, neither of which are actual issues for your newbie listener. Honestly, I loved this piece when I first heard it in Robert Redford's film Ordinary People. Plus, it's literally the only piece of classical music my younger son likes. So, perhaps we have a genetic defect in our family, who knows, but I still think it's a surprise there's no Pachelbel. The other entries you can see scrolling down, and there's plenty of excellent choices there. Thanks to everyone who contributed. Next video, you're going to get my own personal 5-track newbie sampler. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.